Hey y'all, happy Wednesday. I don't even know what day of the week it is anymore. While I was out of town, there was all this hoopla about Levi's jeans and Sydney Sweeney and racism. And well, now Beyonce has entered the chat. So we're going to react to Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk talking about Beyonce's cultural discourse around the whole campaign and Sweeney and yada yada yada. So why don't we just hop right into it and see what the heck is going on?
I thought we were kind of done with the Sydney Sweeney controversy, but yesterday it resurrected for a couple of reasons. Number one, Beyonce has now dropped a similar ad for Levi's without the jeans double entendre commentary, but it's Beyonce in a jeans ad, and it is being received like she, again, is the second coming, like everything that Beyonce does and touches, because you're not allowed to criticize Beyonce. You're only allowed to lavish praise upon her. And so that's gotten it going again. And now we're seeing a concerted effort on the left to turn the whole Sydney Sweeney controversy into a right-wing manufactured controversy, that there really were no leftists who were upset about the Sydney Sweeney ad. And it's really just Republicans like Trump and J.D. Vance who are fueling a made-up controversy. That's completely dishonest. This was entirely a left-wing freak out. And my own thought on it is, having engaged in a back and forth at length with one of the Pod Save America guys last night, again, who remains a mystery to me. The only one I know is that Tommy guy.
Who remains a mystery to me. All right. Like I said, I was away from my studio. I had a family event, so I was with family, but I was seeing all the hoopla with the Sydney Sweeney thing. If you want my opinion on her commercial, I can see how it was misconstrued, but I can also see how it wasn't that big of a deal. Like in 2025, when branding companies, anyone in marketing has to be on high alert for any possible misstep, miscommunication, misinterpretation of how they are advertising a product. I feel like whoever was the one creative directing that probably lost their job. Probably just because it's like, but I think when you think denim, you think all American, you think Ralph Lauren, you know what I mean? Like you think Tommy Hilfiger. Like I think they were just trying to speak to classic blue jeans. And I think where they stepped on the grenade that they didn't see coming was by equating it to her blue eyes, I think is what freaked everyone out. That's just my interpretation of it. I definitely think it was blown out of proportion. I don't know anyone who was personally upset by it, of black melanation or not. I don't know anybody. But I can see how they left themselves open. They being what was it, American Eagle or something? How they left themselves open for controversy is what I will say. What I will say on the Beyonce thing. First, I agree with Megyn Kelly on the way that the fandemonium around Beyonce, I say this all the time about Trump, the Swifties, Nicki Minaj and her barbs. Like there's a certain level of fandom that just doesn't allow for us to treat these people like they're human beings, and we don't acknowledge the humanity of them. And Beyonce is one of those, but I think the difference between Beyonce and a lot of other celebrities and why people praise her is because Beyonce stays very low key. You rarely hear anything from her. She doesn't address things. She doesn't like hype things up. And so I think where other people may be hyping up their fandemonium, I don't know if Beyonce has ever asked anyone to stick up for her, stand up for her, think she was right, tell her she's right, tell her she's not wrong. I don't know if you've ever heard that from her. I just think because she stays quiet, people praise her for that. The other thing I will say is that Beyonce has had this running ad campaign with Levi's since she dropped her country album last year. She has a song on the album called Levi's, and if you know anything about Beyonce, she always has like 18 different things going on with her album drops. Like there's always some connection with all these brands, and that's like what she's like kind of done that in an unprecedented kind of way, is that her album rollout will also come out with all these brand associated deals and things like that. And so I'm not sure if Megan was saying, now here comes Beyonce with a Levi's commercial, and saying like she copied the Sweeney commercial. She's just saying Beyonce has dropped a new one, because this is like her third or fourth one since, again, that album came out last year. So I don't agree with that being like oh, here comes Beyonce on the blue jean bandwagon, because she's been doing it. Also, these things are filmed and edited months and months and sometimes years in advance. So there's that. But yeah, I mean, I think the timing with this Sweeney thing is unfortunate, because then it's immediately going to pit this young white girl against this mega famous black woman. And that's unfortunate for all parties involved, if you ask me. Which you did, because you came here to my channel. Remember that. Remember that.
Again, who remains a mystery to me. The only one I know is that Tommy guy. I don't know the other ones. And this guy seemed genuinely hurt that I didn't know who he was after arguing with him. Then even one of the other guys.
I don't know. Tommy Vetter
no one knows.
Or something, I think. Yeah.
Literally nobody knows who they are. And my final advice to this guy, as we were feuding on X, was good luck. Maybe one of these days you'll solo a show, and then I'll learn your name. But until then, you're just one of the Pod Save America guys. Sorry,
and it's just such
not everybody
a
can do it.
low testosterone group of complainers and whiners. But please continue, Megan. Sorry, I
believe the Pod Save America guys are the same guys that were on the Piers Morgan show that I reacted to not too long ago. Is that the guys she's talking about? I also don't know their names, so like, she's clocking that tea. If you don't know what that means, go ask your Urban Dictionary. But okay.
Low testosterone group of complainers and whiners. But please continue, Megan. Sorry, I find their show unwatchable, and they're just
100%. Well, so he was one of the main people saying, no, this is a right-wing generated thing. And when I called him out on what bullshit that was, he said, name one Democrat politician who's pushed it. Okay. That's not the standard. It was an entirely leftist. I mean, I'll go through the list with you, but
ABC News did an entire segment on it, which is one of the most watched morning shows. Yeah, I mean, come on.
Here's just a couple of headlines, okay, and then I'll give you the floor. MSNBC, Sydney Sweeney's ad shows an unbridled cultural shift toward whiteness. Vox, Sydney Sweeney and the unsettling legacy of the blonde bombshell. Yahoo, Sydney Sweeney's great jeans ad slammed as Nazi propaganda. Yahoo, Sweeney takes heat for tone-deaf messaging. Boston Globe.
Good Lord. Oh, it is really starting to get out of hand that like everything is politically driven these days. A freaking commercial can't even bomb. Like, there's been millions and millions and millions of commercials that have dropped and have been like, who thought that up? They need to go back to the drawing board. But why does it have to always go back to right wing, left wing? Who's pushing it? How about whoever came up with the commercial should have maybe thought a little harder, and Sydney's team maybe should have caught on. But again, like, if the intention wasn't to be any of those things, then who's looking for that? I don't know. It just all feels so pumped up for no reason. No reason. Nazi propaganda.
Yahoo, Sweeney takes heat for tone-deaf messaging. Boston Globe, how American Eagle Sydney Sweeney.
At best, I'll give it tone deaf. At best, I will give it tone deaf. Because, like I said, like in 2025, when you do have all these hypersensitive communities, someone should have just have been able, these advertisement companies and their directors and the creatives get paid a whole lot of money to see these type of things coming. And maybe nowadays they're just like, whatever, we're going to do it, because no matter what, all press is good press. There's no such thing as bad press. Who knows? But like, at best, I will say, well, I can give it tone deaf. Maybe.
Sweeney's good jeans ad went wrong. Slate, Sweeney has caused an uproar. It was always going to come to this. Salon, Sydney Sweeney's new campaign draws fire for racial undertones and goes on about eugenics movements in the U.S. often promote the idea of good genes to encourage reproduction among white, able-bodied people and sterilization of others. Just a couple more. This is via the Washington Times that did a great wrap of it. USA Today reporting that for many, having a blonde, blue-eyed woman talk about genes felt like a reference to eugenics. Vanity Fair. The ads have been criticized by onlookers who see a
So white, blonde women cannot talk about having good genes? but I can. I think I'm really trying to understand where we are really holding space for this to be such a racially offensive commercial. Like, so if I would have done this commercial, because we all know I am a supermodel actress, and I said my brown eyes have good, and my good genes, it wouldn't have been offensive. I just, like, I get the reach. I get how people are able to reach, but I just don't understand why. Like, the girl is in her prime. She is like one of the top paid, top booked actresses right now. They booked her. She's a young girl. She's an attractive young girl. She has a fan base. It's like, this could have been anybody. It could have been Beyonce. And if we're talking about Beyonce, I saw Piers Morgan say she was copying Marilyn Monroe. Let me tell you something. We've got to stop this whole, you're copying. Everything in the entertainment industry is regurgitated. It's all reheated nachos. It's all someone else's idea before someone else's idea before someone else's idea. Call it inspiration, call it plagiarism, whatever you want. But someone else has always done it before someone else. And we've got to stop acting like no one else can do it. Like, you know what I mean? She put on a freaking blonde bob with waves, and now she's wanting to be Marilyn Monroe. And I mean this in every way. Like, someone else is always going to have done it before. But I feel, for me, this is the same kind of thing with the Caitlyn Clark versus the Angel Reesing. Is like, unfortunately, I think these issues are bigger than the women that are being pitted against each other. You know what I mean? Like, the timing of it all with Beyonce's Levi's jean coming out right after Sweeney's thing coming out. And then if you even think about the news cycle, then, you know, last week we were also talking about the all white community that doesn't want anyone in it that isn't a white American in their community. And it's like, it's almost like the news cycle just wants to keep regurgitating and perpetuating this same narrative over and over and over again. And we keep falling for it. And then people like Megyn Kelly, Charlie Kirk. I mean, everyone's been talking about it. Bill Maher, like, everyone's been talking about it. It's like, and then they get on and they give their 2 cents, and we just keep the cycle going. It's like, does any of this really exist, or are we just living in a simulation, is where I'm at this point.
Sinister message lurking beneath the pun. Entertainment Weekly fretting that the commercial for denim clothing promoted an ideology supporting forced sterilization of marginalized groups, and giving voice to a TikTok user who said, "It's all evidence of a rise of fascism in America." The media found experts to weigh in, like college professors, who said the campaign's pun isn't just tone deaf, it's historically loaded. The Washington Post style section writer did something on it, talking about how the right wing mocking this ad only justifies her initial alarm at seeing the ads to them, and on it goes. This is a left wing freak out. The right wing is sitting back, mocking it and laughing at it.
Yes, and also benefiting from it. So that's where I'm most interested in this. So every generation of young men have a woman or a series of women that they really look up to, or that they put posters of in their, bedrooms. That's not really a thing anymore. Whether
Carmen Electra, Pamela Anderson, like Pam Grier, if we want to go to like the opposite side of the spectrum, like there's always a woman that is propped up for her femininity, her sensuality, like her beauty. Like, why is it an issue now in 2025? Because everyone needs to take a freaking chill pill.
Or that they put posters of in their, bedrooms. That's not really a thing anymore. Whether it be Kathy Ireland or Brooke Shields or Farrah Fawcett, or
Suzanne
Pamela
Summers.
Anderson, or Carmen Electra,
I know my stuff.
or Denise Richards. I mean, this is not a new phenomenon with the men of America who want to, I would say, look up to is a kind way of putting it, Megan. But look, they're young men and they're trying to find their place in the world. And it's better than being trans, okay? It's better to have a Farrah Fawcett poster than being trans, okay?
Yes,
there's nothing
red-blooded
wrong
American
with
men.
that. Yes, like, I mean, come on, this is how we're wired. It's how God designed us. Like, get over yourself. So for Gen Z men who have been just force-fed with androgynous, metrosexual, low testosterone, soy-fed type garbage since COVID, they now have a woman that many of them not just look up to, but they like, and understandably, obviously. And so, the one woman that is kind of their generation's Farrah Fawcett or Pamela Anderson or Carmen Electra,
I think if we're going to reach, then why don't we talk about the overt sexuality of this advertisement before we talk about anything else? If we want to talk about her young following, this commercial is quite suggestive. And it's like, what happened to just being upset about that? Like, back in the day, all the church ladies would have been like, what is this? They're selling sex to the kids. Now we're talking about all other stuff. Oh, Lord.
Rather sultry, lusty ad. Probably a little too lusty for my taste, but I don't want to be legalistic about it. I found nothing wrong with it at first because, like, on the spectrum of advertisements, it was actually not nearly as bad as some of the stuff we've seen, but fine. But when the reaction to this has been so delightful to witness because, in political circles, we were worried this summer, are we going to start to lose young men? Are young men going to start to get disaffected? Are they starting to get a little worried about, disagreements on foreign policy or, they can't afford stuff? I want to thank the freak out against the Sydney Sweeney thing because every time you call Sydney Sweeney a fascist, another 20-year-old man registers as a Republican somewhere across the country.
So
it is bringing
probably right.
It is bringing a whole generation as a voting bloc, which is like, wait a second. So we have we have our own modern American tradition. Our Farrah Fawcett, our Pamela Anderson. I'm not saying me, but I'm saying that's how they're saying it. And you're calling us a Nazi for doing that.
Right.
And for an ad that, honestly, when I first saw it, I actually thought it was kind of, I don't want to say cringe, but I don't think it was as funny. I was like, okay.
I'm absolutely on board with Charlie when I like the buttoning of the jeans to me was like super cringe. I was like, oh, like who decided this? That's where I went with it. And it's like, again, I didn't give too much of my time reading into all of it. This is the most I've heard about this situation, but I'm like, we could have chose anything to nitpick on this, and this is the route we went. All right, guys.
Yeah, fine, sure, whatever. It wasn't like that scintillating. I think you'd agree, Megan, right? It wasn't like overly witty, right?
It wouldn't have caught my notice at all had it not been for the meltdown.
It would have been like, fine, great, good for American Eagle. Honestly, it would be more notable that it wasn't like Megan Rapinoe wearing it. Like, okay, fine, we're more in like
Dylan
the
Mulvaney.
traditional, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's like not Dylan Mulvaney. It's not Rear Admiral, the guy that got Woman of the Year that worked for Biden or the
Rachel
luggage
Levine.
thief that worked. Yeah, Rachel Levine, right? So we're not there. So I guess that's noteworthy, correct?
Right.
And,
Yeah.
But it goes. There's so much here, and I don't want to paint too broad of a brush because I try not to do that. But an element of the backlash, Megan, and we have to be honest, is that a blonde white woman who is not full of like tattoos or disfigurement surgery,
Right.
is like so repulsive to them.
I think that's also a really good point. It's like, it's just not a Kardashian, not vivacious bosom and big butt and like all the things that like, this is just a like natural born young white woman. And I think the same can be said on the spectrum of entertainment for a lot of women, not just white women, that like something, I don't know, there's been this shift in like, and I think the tide is turning back towards natural bodies, but we have seen for years and years and years the image of women change to this very false image. Everyone's pumping their face full of stuff, changing their face, all these cosmetic surgeries, and it's like they use this very natural young lady, and I don't know, maybe she has a lip filler. Who am I to say? But like, would they have been upset if it was someone like Kim Kardashian? Would this have even been a thing if Kim Kardashian had made this ad? I wonder.
to the point where they think that it's the rise of the Third Reich. Again, I don't want to overly racialize this. I'm not trying to say every point of criticism has that kind of sentimentality, but it definitely exists. It definitely is an energy source here that they just find something so repulsive and offensive that a white, blonde girl
It's an interesting
will
point.
be profiled in an advertisement like this. As
Yeah.
if this is regression away from the wokening of the country.
Regression.
And let's
away
call
from
it for
the
what it is.
awakening.
That is unadulterated, naked racism against the white women of this country.
Yeah. And we've been dealing with it for years.
All right. I don't know about that part. I'm going to end it there. They're not even really talking about Beyonce, maybe towards the end, but I don't also think it is notable to even pull in Beyonce. I think this is just, again, the way the news cycle is going to keep regurgitating this issue. And someone at the status of Beyonce posted something similar, so it gave them some more fuel to the fire. Again, Beyonce has had an ongoing deal with Levi's for over a year now. These commercials are not new. I think the timing of it was unfortunate for both young ladies. I wish Sweeney nothing but the best. I loved her in White Lotus. Like, hey girl, I think you're great. And I don't think she or her team meant any harm. I don't think they saw this coming. And I think we gotta just chill the freak out. I saw a phone case the other day in the mall, and it like was a huge giant phone case, and it was a bottle of pills, and it said chill pills, and I thought about buying it for a moment, but then I was like, that's not practical. Where am I going to put it? It was so large. Anyway, feel free to sound off on this. As always, if you cannot keep it cute, which means kind, then put it on mute. All right, let me know what your thoughts are down below. Make sure you're subscribed, come back for more, and have the day that you deserve. Peace.